In today's video, we're going to be doing an NHL draft lottery simulation and a top 10 mock draft. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We're reviewing and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top, today's video is going to be rather fun. We're doing an NHL 2018 draft lottery simulation as well as a mock draft. So before we get into all that, I'm just going to take a minute just to quickly explain how the draft lottery works. Just in case you're a newer fan or don't completely understand how it works, I'll give you the quick overview of how all that goes down quickly here, but then we'll jump into the simulation and the draft. So basically, all the teams that don't make the NHL playoffs this year have a chance to win the lottery. By winning the lottery, you are guaranteed one of the top 3 picks in the NHL drafts. So the top 3 spots are all done via the lottery draw. Now obviously the teams are all ranked according to their point totals at the end of the season, and they're ranked from last all the way up to the top of the teams that missed the playoffs. So obviously the lower you are on the totem pole here, the more balls you have in the draw. So they draw for the top 3 spots. So obviously it can be anybody that missed the playoffs. We're going to come out with number 1, 2, or 3 in the draft. After that, the remaining teams are put in order that they finished in the standings. So for example, if you finished in third last, then you're guaranteed to pick no lower than 6th. Obviously, because if you don't get lucky enough to win any of the top 3, you can move down a maximum of 3 spots, puts you in 6th place. If you're dead last in the league and you are not lucky at all and you don't get any of those 3 balls drawn for your name, then the lowest you could pick would be 4th and so on. So that's how it works. And so we're now going to do a draft simulation, which was just completed here. So I'm going to unveil how the top 10 teams came out. There's an excellent site that you can play around with and do a draft simulator. And it basically takes the odds of each team winning the draft lottery. And you can play with it to see kind of where the teams can pick. And also too, the other thing is it's loaded up with all the data and all the prospects. So you can also do a mock draft on that site in case you're not familiar with all the prospects. You want to kind of go through and see where your team is likely going to finish in the draft standings, and then who might be the best player available for them to pick going from there. Now on the mock draft, I believe it kind of goes more by player rankings, not so much by what the team might need and so on like that. So it's certainly not perfect, but it is kind of a fun experiment to play around with. So let's jump into it here. So I'm going to reveal to you the top 10 teams, how they came out in the simulator, and then who I think they're going to pick, and give you a quick explanation as to why. When I completed the NHL draft lottery simulation for 2018, the top 3 teams that came out as the winners were: number 1 was the Ottawa Senators, number 2 was the Edmonton Oilers, and number 3 was the Buffalo Sabres. So obviously Buffalo and Arizona, even though they've consistently been the worst teams all year, and when I did the simulation, they weren't as lucky as you think they would be. So anyway, Ottawa, Edmonton, and Buffalo are the top 3 picks. Then after that, they're all ranked according to how they are in the standings as of right now. So that puts Arizona at number 4, Vancouver at number 5, the Red Wings at number 6, the Montreal Canadiens at number 7, the Chicago Blackhawks at number 8, the New York Islanders at number 9, and the number 10 pick would belong to the New York Rangers. Now we're going to go through now and do a quick NHL mock draft of the 2018 picks. We've done several videos here talking about the top prospects. If you've missed any of those videos, there'll be a YouTube card up here with a playlist where so far we've covered the top 20 NHL prospects as well as some top goalie prospects. And there is going to be more to come in that series of videos as we get closer to the draft. We're certainly going to be covering all the players expected to go in the first round. So there's going to be at least one more to get us to 31 prospects. Then we may go even further with it from there. But there's plenty of prospect videos to check out. So go check that out through that YouTube card. Or if you want at the end of the video as well, there's going to be a link on the end screen. You can get to it that way. And I'll put it down in the description as well. So let's take a look here. So obviously, no matter who has the number 1 pick, in this case it was Ottawa, they're going to choose from Sweden defenseman Rasmus Dahlin. Obviously, Rasmus Dahlin is expected to be a generational type defenseman. So obviously there's a lot of chatter in Ottawa about Erik Karlsson either staying or leaving or whatever. But regardless of what happened with Karlsson, that would certainly make things a lot easier to lose him if they bring in a guy like Dahlin, who some people might argue is Karlsson 2.0. Time will tell. He is expected to be a generational type defenseman. and he is the clear-cut choice to go number 1. Number 2 pick overall, the Edmonton Oilers would probably select Andrei Svechnikov, obviously a Russian player currently playing in the OHL, proven to be quite a sniper. Earlier in the year, some people were convinced he would give Dahlin a run for being the number 1 overall pick. It kind of hasn't happened. Dahlin's really separated himself to be the top prospect in this draft, but Svechnikov is a pretty good goal scorer and is bound to score a lot of goals in the NHL. Obviously, as we all know, the Oilers have kind of had a hard time finding the right winger for Connor McDavid. So maybe if this were to actually come true, maybe Svechnikov would actually be the answer. Now, in this case, I would have picked Svechnikov for the Oilers regardless, just because I think he'd be a good fit potentially on that top line with McDavid. But a lot of so-called experts do have him ranked as the number 2 prospect in the draft anyhow. But I think I made these selections based on not only the best player available, but what would be the best fit for the team. Number 3, the Buffalo Sabres would probably select from the Halifax Mooseheads and from the Czech Republic, Filip Zadina. Zadina's another top forward prospect, is expected to score a lot of goals. I've personally had a chance to see him play with the Mooseheads, and he is a tremendous talent, very, very talented from the Czech Republic. So he would be a big help with the Buffalo Sabres playing along. So for example, if he could play with Jack Eichel, that might be a lethal duo. Going forward, you throw in Casey Middlestat there, and suddenly the future looks a lot brighter in Buffalo. The number 4 pick, the Arizona Coyotes would probably select another top Swedish defenseman, Adam Boqvist. Adam Boqvist is a smaller defenseman, but an extreme upside, expected to be the 2nd best defenseman to go in this draft. Not quite as talented as Rasmus Dahlin, but certainly a major game changer for any team that's able to pick him up. I'm not 100% sure that he would step into the NHL immediately. He may need an extra year to grow and develop. He is a smaller defenseman, which isn't a big deal in today's NHL. Speed and skill play a much bigger role, but Boqvist, I think, would certainly fit well with the Coyote group back there. There was a little bit of a debate here. I wasn't sure who they'd pick. I hadn't narrowed down to 2 players. I went with Boqvist myself. I just thought that's the way the team would lean. They do have a lot of good young forward prospects, so I thought they would take the best available top defensive prospect. So I'm going Arizona, Adam Boqvist. Number 5 selection would belong to the Vancouver Canucks, and they would probably select Brady Tkachuk, a top American player who played in the World Junior Championships for Team USA and had quite a showing. He's a younger brother of Matthew, the son of Keith Tkachuk. He's very gritty like his dad and his brother. Has a little bit more size and more scoring pedigree than his brother Matthew. So Brady's expected to be a top NHLer. You throw him in the mix with Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson on the way, and you know what? That Canuck team suddenly has some really top forwards and a really bright future. So he would think would fit well with the Canucks organization. Number 6, we've got the Detroit Red Wings, who would probably select Quinn Hughes, who's another top defender from the United States. Now, he is a player who can pretty much guarantee will not jump immediately to the NHL. He has committed to playing college hockey next season. I believe he's going to Michigan. So Quinn Hughes is expected to be a really solid, probably top 4 potential defenseman. I think would fit really well with the Red Wings. But considering how the Red Wings normally like to draft and develop players, I think they'd be totally fine waiting a few years for him to make his mark in the NHL. And I think he'd be a great fit in their organization. The number 7 choice, the Montreal Canadiens would probably select centerman Oliver Wahlstrom from the USA. Obviously, the Habs are badly needing some depth at center ice, and he's the top center available in this draft. So I think Wahlstrom makes a lot of sense to be the Montreal Canadiens' top pick. The number 8 selection belongs to the Chicago Blackhawks. They would probably select defenseman Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard is another top defensive prospect in this draft. I have him myself as being the number 3 or number 4 prospect on defense in this draft. There's a lot of good defensemen available. Bouchard is expected to go pretty high here in the draft, and I think he'd be a great fit in Chicago. The number 9 pick belongs to the New York Islanders, and they would probably select another defenseman, Noah Dobson. Obviously, Dobson is the next available top player available in this draft. Like I mentioned before in another video where we talked about looking back in the 2008 draft, the 08 draft reminded me a lot of this draft because there's a lot of top defensemen available, and Dobson's another one who's expected to be a top defender in the NHL. But Dobson currently plays for Acadie Bathurst in the QMJHL and is having a fantastic year and is expected to, he projects to be another potential top 4 D-man at the NHL level. With the number 10 selection, the New York Rangers would select defenseman Ty Smith. Ty Smith is another defenseman playing in the Western Hockey League right now for the Spokane Chiefs, and is yet another top defender expected to make his mark in the NHL sooner than later. Smith is another one who projects as a potential top 4 defensive prospect, and the Rangers certainly could use some help on defense the way things have gone this year. After all the moves they've made, I think the Rangers need to stockpile any defensive prospects they can get their hands on, and at this rate, with the number 10 pick, they should certainly take the best top-rated defenseman that's available to them. So that's the mock draft. So what do you guys all think? Leave some comments down below. Was this a fun exercise? Certainly go check out that website I mentioned. It's down in the description where you can simulate the NHL draft. Not only can you simulate how the picks are going to fall, but what player each team would pick as well. I didn't use this for the picks because I made my own selections, but depending on what your knowledge level is of all the prospects and whatnot, certainly a fun exercise, so go check that out. If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 teams, and we do a lot of videos like this talking about the NHL prospects, so there's plenty of content for you to enjoy. If you haven't done so already, consider checking us out on social media. You're going to see our Twitter handle right here on the screen. We also have a Facebook and Instagram accounts, and they're also linked down below in the description, so check those out. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.